Hey, how you doing, fam? Hope you're going well. Back in the pine forest. It's a good place for just like, yeah, just walking and talking, or lurking and yarning. Just come out here with my shoes off and press record, see what happens. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey making this vlog. You know, I felt really good about it at the start, and then in the last few days just got hit with like a massive wave of insecurities and felt shame. I was judging myself for doing it, you know, and it's an interesting thing because I guess it's all insecurity based, you know, and the more that we get used to this technology and all this sort of shit that we're using, you know, it's very easy to question if it's good or bad for us, you know what I mean? There's a side of me that thinks, oh, should I be doing this? Should I just be spilling my guts and spilling my heart and putting it out there? And, you know, but yeah, there's another side that's really telling me this is what I got to do. You know, it's trippy. A lot of, yeah, my good friends are all encouraging me and they say it's really good. But there's this deep insecurity, kind of like a fear for putting it out there. I think it comes, for me, like a lot of my insecurities are very, very abandonment based, very rejection based. And I guess that I'm scared if I put my true self out there, the more that I put myself out there, that I'll be abandoned or I'll be rejected, you know. So I think that's maybe what I'm processing a bit. Yeah, it's a very interesting one, insecurities. I definitely grew up a pretty insecure kid. Didn't have much self-worth, which comes from, yeah, definitely my family breaking down when I was pretty young, and due to the circumstances of why my family broken down, yeah, I guess I wasn't put first in that situation, you know what I mean? In a lot of situations where the kids aren't put first, which I really think they should be, you know, regardless of what's going on, you always got to make sure that the kids are put first, and regardless of what's going on between the parents, you both need to prioritize that. I think as soon as you have a child, your priority is to put your kid first, to put your kid's well-being first, more than your own, you know, your emotions, and especially when it comes to circumstances with the parents, you know, because as soon as, yeah, that if you're a part of that sort of trauma when you're young, there goes your self-worth, you know. It's your self-worth is you being a priority. And then, yeah, if you grow up with a self-worth issue, you'll never learn your own worth or learn how to put yourself first and look after yourself based off the value that you have of self. That's it. That's where the disconnection of self comes from, you know what I mean? So beautiful out here. And then, yeah, insecurities, I guess, they start to become more prevalent in primary school, or, you know, those early stages of development and social development, trying to fit in, trying to figure out what's, you know, what's acceptable in society, within your community. And kids are ruthless, you know. You go through all that shit. Not only do you learn about your own insecurities, you learn your boundaries with, you know, picking on people, being mean. You learn about sympathy. I remember the first time I felt sympathy, it was a big kick in the gut, or empathy. It was quite, I remember it was like an awakening and a discovery of that emotion. But yeah, as we travel our little journey in those early years, we figure out those insecurities and where they come from. And I guess on my journey it was pretty unique in the sense that I got to do battle rap. Because battle rap definitely makes you go through some shit with your insecurities. Because the aim of the game is to play on the other person's insecurities. You know, so you got two people up there literally trying to play on each other's insecurities in front of an audience. If that isn't like primary school in a nutshell, you know what I mean? I don't know what is. And so yeah, I remember, you know, one of my childhood insecurities was being overweight. I still remember the first time that I got picked on for being overweight, you know, and that was a big insecurity that lasted with me for ages. Even when I look back at some of my battles and I look back at myself and how I'm standing on the stage, even the way that I'm carrying myself, I can still tell that it's embedded into my subconscious that my insecurity of being overweight, even when I was skinny as fuck. And here we go, just casually, the casual tape measure, hanging in the forest. And yeah, and then, for example, yeah, you know, I got known for having big teeth in the Australian battle rap scene. And no one ever picked on me growing up for having big teeth. It wasn't something that was really ever, like, I had my own kind of personal insecurities. And I guess that's it, you've got your personal insecurities that you're aware of, but then you're aware of the insecurities that other people might, you know, be judging you for. So it's a definite difference in those insecurities. But as I grew and I went through battle rap, you know, and I got a lot older, and, you know, it's the interesting thing, when you've got an insecurity that you know people are aware of, that's when you just have to accept it. And there's still, there's positive aspects of accepting that reality, but there's also negative ones, you know. There's a difference between accepting it in a healthy way and accepting it in a positive way. But we're very insecurity driven humans, you know. You know, it's the more you get in touch with yourself, the older you get, and the more aware of your own insecurities. It's easier to see your own energy that you're projecting in different ways. You know, it's very easy when you're feeling insecure about something to project that unstable or not secure feeling out there. You know, any you know, guy that thinks his material value or what he has in the material world is more important than who he is as a person, I think you can tell in this day and age where every person's sort of insecurity comes from. Which is, yeah, the older I get, the most interesting thing, because my biggest drive at the moment is to really create community and instill that. And I think my biggest insecurity is having no community. You know? And I know so many people, like for me, for who I am at this point in my journey, I can't really undo it, you know? So due to who I am and the way I've put myself out there in the world, I do feel a lot of the time that I have a sense of community wherever I go. You know, in any neighborhood in the country, I can find my community pretty quickly. And I know how to adapt. And I guess, yeah, it's interesting. As I process my insecurities as I'm processing this sort of shit, and I'm just, you know, yarning. But that's what we've got to do is, you know, find out where it comes from to find that contentness, you know what I mean? Like, if you're content and your insecurities are at rest, you know, we need to find a way to keep moving forward. And insecurities can be positive in that way. You know, if you've got an insecurity about different aspects of life, that you can use it as fuel to give you that drive to overcoming that insecurity. So, you know, that's the thing with trauma. Trauma is a lesson. Trauma will teach you, you know. And the more trauma you face as your journey goes on, the more the lessons make sense. And but you have to learn from it. Oh, I'm back at Fort Pine. Back at Fort Pine. I knew if I wandered around here after a while, I'd stumble back here. It's looking lovely today, old Fort Pine. It's good for the soul. Some shells. It's a good effort. A couple of my mates were telling me they used to have big parties out here in the bush. Hey mate. Good. They used to have big parties out here in the bush and the cops would shut it down. Some good times, no doubt. But yeah, insecurities. So I guess, you know, to find that security in yourself is to feel content with who you are. And I think, you know, a big part of accepting your insecurities is, yeah, find out where they come from. And then if you really struggle to accept your insecurity or acknowledge that it's there and separate yourself from the insecurity as an emotion, then find out where that insecurity comes from and, you know, start working on it. It's an interesting journey, self-work. I'm at like quite a checkpoint in regards to understanding myself, understanding the world around you. And the thing is, when you take this journey, it doesn't get easier, that's for sure. Because the more that you strip the layers off yourself, the more that you become sensitive and aware of the frequencies that are happening around us. It's not easy, that's for sure. After I went down to the tunnel the other night, I really did feel I stirred up a bit of dark energy in that tunnel. And it was trippy. When I turned off the camera and I was on my way home, I just started getting flooded with insecurities. And I feel that like dark energy, which is, you know, someone's got dark energy, they're carrying a dark spirit, you know, and that darkness usually comes from, you know, what someone's done to them. You know, if someone's been through some really rough shit growing up, you can see it in their spirit. You can see that they're carrying that darkness, you know. And I do believe that I used to think that, you know, spirit didn't live in concrete or sandstone, to be honest, but I really feel that dark energy and dark spirit will attach, you know, and the more that you're aware of these dark energies and the more that you're sensitive to them, the more that they'll present themselves to you, you know. I used to walk down that tunnel, you know, 15, 16 times a week, and never be worried at all. I just mission through. I can mission through without the lights on, and there wasn't a hint of fear that I felt. But going back down there at a different part of my journey and being a bit more open, I felt lots of fear. I felt lots of, a few times, I didn't really want to say it on the camera either, because I felt insecure that if I start talking about this shit, you know, it wasn't my intention to do a ghost video or anything like that. And I know I'll put it in the title, but yeah, after I left, I just felt insecurities flooding me. I felt all sorts of massive judgment, shame, all sorts of different shit. And because when we carry, that's how dark spirits manifest. They beat us up, they torment us, they'll you know, they get in your head and they try and bring you down. And I was aware of it while it was happening to me, so I just kept praying and just breathing in light and trying to breathe out the darkness. I had this like deep sick feeling in my stomach that I just sat there and breathed in the light, then breathed out the dark, you know, and just kept doing that. And it took me a couple days. Yesterday I felt really rough. I was still beating myself up massively. Just really going down that rabbit hole of insecurity, you know. And I woke up this morning and I could still feel it a bit, but I was like, nah, I need to do this. I've committed to doing this vlog, you know what I mean? I've set my intentions and I put it out there, and I can't go back on it, you know what I mean? It's something that I'm really trying to do to hold myself accountable to moving forward. Because if I start struggling with my insecurities and going back a few steps, which I definitely did, you know, I can do it for a day or two, but I got to keep moving forward. I need to stick staunch to my commitments, you know what I mean? And yeah, so here I am having this yarn, and it's, once again, I'm still just processing all my own personal insecurities while I do this. It's very confronting to be this vulnerable, you know what I mean, and just put yourself out there and just yarn it out. I get all sorts of emotions stirred up, because there's not, as well, you know, I know people are judging me. I know there's people out there that are like, oh, what the fuck, you know, Greeley's doing a vlog, blah blah blah. But I know the truth. I know the truth of, like, of being yourself and being your pure self, and that's all I'm trying to do. I've always felt in my life that I talk a bit too much, and I just, you know, hone in. I focus in on one topic and boom, 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 boom. And yeah, due to my abandonment and rejection and all that sort of stuff that I went through, I guess that's why my insecurity lies in what I'm saying not being of worth to anyone else. I go so far in on the rabbit hole that, you know, talking about this sort of shit can make people feel uncomfortable. There's a massive element of life where you just need to let things be, you know what I mean? If you just forever go down the rabbit hole, you're just gonna consistently be flipping your wig. I wrote a song with Tons, and the first line is, the trees have reminded me to just be. And it's true. Look at it. It's not there doing its own head in, worried about its insecurities, worried about what anyone else thinks. If anything, it's just trying not to get chopped down, but it can't do much about that. Yeah, the old never-ending insecurity inception. Maybe that's where we're at in this society now, because there is so much external validation based off society's expectations, all sorts of that. You know what I mean? Maybe we're at an insecurity inception point of history where, you know, we don't have to get on with it. That's what I meant to say. At the moment, the truth and vulnerability is highly valued. We're at the moment where, like, you know, so many people have grown up in the world being influenced by stuff that makes them think they have to be a certain way or have the certain things or get the things that they like, you know. Even just having access to the things that they like, it's a luxury to be able to order something off the internet and it comes straight to you, you know what I mean? Like, it's a massive luxury. I remember I ran into a young fella that I've known since he was pretty young, and he kind of grew up hanging around the hip-hop scene. And then when Gucci became a trend, he was just so convinced that Gucci made him happy. And I remember seeing him, and he was just wearing some random clothes, but he had this ridiculous Gucci belt on. And he was stoked, and good on him. I'm glad the Gucci belt, I'm glad something made him happy. I wasn't glad that it was this thing Gucci, which is a brand made up by a bunch of rich cunts who don't give a fuck about his happiness at all. They care about, you know, their own shit. And yeah, he was so determined that this Gucci belt just made him fucking happy. It, you know, made his day. And you got to understand that, once again, that's successful marketing. And once again, maybe I should just let it be. Hey, be happy with the Gucci belt. But I just know it's external gratification that he's getting. That validation is coming from this external idea of value that a bunch of people have put on a brand for the sake of it having worth. And so, once again, he's struggling with his own self-worth, and then he thinks getting this Gucci belt is going to increase his worth, when it doesn't at all. You know, this is where it's so important to internally validate ourselves, which is a war. It's an actual war. This is the spiritual war that they're talking about. The people that are internally validating themselves and leading with that love, and the people that are externally gratifying themselves. And that's where it gets deep across this world, you know what I mean? People get too much money, and then they can't validate themselves anymore externally. When you've got too much shit, and that's where people get fucked up. People start doing weird shit. It's what's happening behind the closed doors, you know. Yeah, I'm going to talk a lot more about the crime in Tasmania, but the hard thing is about the crime down here is that there's just as much crime up there as there is down there, and the people that make too much money weirdly end up doing way weirder shit, because they're in charge of it too. A lot of them aren't recreating their trauma. But either way, we'll get back to insecurities. You know, kind of got a bit far off, but I think you guys like that. That's the other thing. I'm just talking shit. I'm just talking. You know, I saw a comment that someone said, I want you to walk around the bush more and do more spiritual shit. So hey, I can do that all day. I can just pace around and speak my mind and allow my truth to unfold in front of you. And if that's what you guys like, you know, I'll keep doing it. That's the other thing I'm trying to figure out with this shit. Like, I definitely want to, I want to do interviews. I want to learn about places. I want to, like, get my journalism on. The other night, I just got kind of hit with this thing. I want to be similar to a journalist, but I guess journalism, yeah. What about journeyism? Maybe I'm a journeyist. Yeah, I'm going to go with journeyism. That's what it is. It's about the journey. It's not about the journal. yeah, it's all about the journey, baby. I like that there's random Christmas ornaments, random tape measures all through this forest. But yeah, insecurities is an important thing because I feel like personal healing, yeah, comes through overcoming and understanding your insecurities. And what I want to do throughout everything I share in this vlog and how I connect with people is help the community heal, because you have to understand there's so much healing that needs to be done, and there's, you know, millions of social workers, disability support workers, youth workers across the country. But once again, a lot of people when people are acting out of insecurity and they don't understand their own, how can they help others? It's something that we need to be very aware of, be very mindful of, very vocal about. You know, I've been very mindful of with people in my life that I've hurt in the past, vocalizing it, acknowledging it. You know, because once again, people don't realize that when you've hurt them, that you're still holding on to it too. I think that's a big part of it too. It's easy for the victim in a situation to think, oh, yeah, you hurt me and you just don't give a fuck. But yeah, every time I apologize to someone that I've hurt in the past, and they're like, oh, you remember that? And I'm like, yeah, it affected me in a weird way. I pretended and it didn't at the time. And that's our coping mechanism for making mistakes, or you do something and realize that it's not good and you've hurt someone. It's our coping mechanism just to bury it down, not let it come out, you know. And it's important as you process these insecurities the reason why you're doing them is to not let them identify you, you know. And especially when we've, you know, had insecurities that were buried down and we might not even know it, but they've identified us our whole life. Our insecurities do identify us, whether we like it or not in some ways. But I guess the important thing of putting it out there is to help you grow. You know what I mean? You have to take accountability for your own growth in that insecurity, especially if you want to put it out there. Because if you put an insecurity out there to people you love and they're like, hey, we don't think that. And sometimes it's easy for them to forget that insecurity is still there just because they don't think that. But what you need to do is take the fact that they don't think that and take it on board and use that to help yourself heal and let go from the insecurity. You know, fucking, oh, I think everyone thinks I'm fat. No, that's right. I know they don't think that. I know that's my insecurity. Let it go. Move forward. Do a silly little dance. Do something. Jazz it up. You know what I mean? And what I really do with my energy and my spirit now, when I feel that dark energy come in with the insecurities, I just look towards the sun. I thank God, I thank the universe, I thank everything for where I'm at, for the blessings. And I just tell myself, nah, you're a fucking sick cunt. And the universe has got you. If you love the universe unconditionally, it'll love you back even in the hardest times. And I think a lot of the time it takes the hardest times for you to find that love, because it gets to a point where you've been fucked over so many times, and you can't hold on to it anymore. You need to let go of it all. That can be a time where you find the light. And all of a sudden, there's just too much. And you're at rock bottom and you're like, boof, It's time to let go of it all because it's too heavy. You know yourself that if you keep trying to carry all that shit, it's not going to help. It's not going to help. Well, I've gotten pretty lost today in the forest. I'm going to try and navigate my way back at the same time. But yeah, so for me doing this vlog, I'm just going to keep processing, keep sharing. And when I feel shit about it, I'm going to share that too. Because that's life. It's not all fucking peaches and cream. Every day is not perfect. It's okay, you know, we take a few steps forward, we take a step back, we take a few steps forward, a step back, and that's how we grow. You have to give yourself a time, you know, a couple days to heal and think about it. It's like training. You can't just train every day in the gym and not have a rest day. It's the same with anything. With your craft, when you're practicing and doing something, when it comes to your own spiritual growth, you can't do it every single day. You have to just relax and just be, you know. Yeah, a few people said they think it's pretty hectic walking around with no shoes in a prime forest, not worried about sticks. But honestly, this is why people need to stop wearing shoes, because the sticks will not hurt you. The rocks won't hurt you. We did this shit for thousands and thousands of years, and then a couple hundred years of wearing shoes, and look, see that? It's all good, doesn't hurt you. So long as you're walking, like, if you just go bam, 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 and just fucking stomping through, yeah, you might get stabbed in the foot. But if you're mindful of the country that you're walking on, and mindful in each step, you gotta understand the country is it's a living thing as well. Walk on it like you would hug your friend, you know what I mean? Each step lead with love like that, and you'd be surprised how much it hugs you back. Yeah, insecurities. I felt insecure about singing Insecurities just then. But you know, fuck it. I'm not watching these videos back. I'm just putting it up there. I'm just putting it out there. I'm just sharing. Yeah, once again, it's good to have a few insecurities, you know. You should be using your fear to better your life, you know. But at the same time, I refuse to live in this sort of fear at the moment, which is my own balance that I'm trying to figure out. Especially when there's a lot of people living in fear right now for the right reasons, because they are in danger and they are not safe, and their safety is not guaranteed because of the political landscape of the world, and it's all very complicated, you know. It's I really feel like the curtain is falling between the audience and the puppeteers, and all the puppets don't know what to do because it's obvious. It's very obvious. We can see that this idea of money and classism is just a veil of human construct that is affecting humans on such a radical level, you know. Money gives people permission for anything. any sort of insane behavior, but I got paid for it. Whether it's, you know, in every element of the world, money has become king. People will sacrifice their integrity as a human in every single way for money in this day and age, you know. It's very interesting. It's very overwhelming because, yeah, you know, there's a lot of talk of societal collapses, but what happens if all of a sudden the value of this number that we've all been mistreating ourselves, mistreating the people around us, all based off this idea, what if it disappears? What if it crumbles and collapses? And all of a sudden you realize that most of your life was navigated over something that doesn't really exist. Things that you personally sacrificed, you know. You know, we are at a point in this culture that people care more about the money that their parents are leaving behind than they do about their parents. And it's the scariest bit is what happens when we all realize that that money doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter to the point where it's ridiculous, and we know that it's not healthy because the places that have all the money don't have the good mental health. And I think that's a big part of, you know, first world problems, is that we rely on the stability of your financial well-being for the sake of well-being. If you ain't financially stable, then your well-being is dismissed. And that's so true. That's why fucking no one really cares about the homeless people they're walking by, is because their financial stability instantly leads for us to dismiss their worth of giving them the time of day. And that's the problem with the world. Classism, everything. I think my biggest insecurity at this point in my journey is being misunderstood. You know, talking all these sorts of ways, in different ways, a lot of people, you know, misunderstand my intentions. A lot of people are just getting on with it. A lot of people have insecurities that they probably hear what I'm talking about and be like, shut up, you're just wasting time, we don't need to talk about it, you know. But I feel that the more that we dismiss this shit, the more it catches up with us in the long run. You know, I see a lot of a lot of the world right now is because of this curtain that's dropping between the puppeteers and the audience and the people that manipulate the world. You know, the people that manipulate the makeup industry to make women feel insecure and feel like they need to have this product to feel secure. And, you know, it's such a once again, it's such a savage world where that side, like, you know, every insecurity you have, there's someone waiting to profit off it. And maybe that's me right now sharing this sort of shit. You know, is this like insecurity porn, you know? Because, yeah, we're not really in a world where people, one, lead with being open with their insecurities, but let alone being accountable for them. That's the other side of it. Because then if we just war with our insecurities and war with our trauma and war with what we've been through that makes us feel shit, and not hold space and be empathetic towards who we're talking to and what we're listening to, yeah, then we're probably fucking it up as well. But understanding, you know, if you've got an insecurity with yourself, challenge yourself to grow, coach yourself, and create something that is going to help lift you out of that insecurity. You know, whether it's financially or whether it's, you know, whether you want to get your teeth fixed, which I do. I'm manifesting getting my teeth fixed this year. That's what I'm going to do, because it's something that I'm insecure about. And that insecurity came from a lack of self-worth and not looking after myself properly because I wasn't valuing myself. And I'm okay with that. So I'm going to take action, and I'm going to do that this year. Yeah. That's how we combat our insecurities. It's a good forest, this one. We're going to sort out a lot of shit, I reckon, while we keep doing this. But yeah, so thank you for listening. Thank you for holding space while I process this shit. I'm feeling better about doing it. And I guess, yeah, that's why I called this one Insecurities, because I just wanted to really process my insecurity in regards to doing this. And, you know, if you're probably watching it on the internet, but like, fuck, you know, you've got your perspective of me because you've seen me do crazy shit. And it's interesting, when I think back on all the crazy shit that I've done, I still remember how I felt about my insecurities in that time. So it goes to show that when you see someone shining, maybe their perspective of themselves doesn't align with you, and be mindful of that. You know, I definitely know how to put on confidence and put myself out there. But as well, a lot of that was insecurity driven. I was pretty insecure as a kid growing up. A lot of my memories of being a youth came with its own narrative of insecurity that went along with it, you know what I mean? Because that's it, when you don't have security in your life, which I didn't, it then meant that my life was insecure, which then led to the fact that my emotions were insecure. See that full circle? So this is why it's important to have security in your life. You know, as parents, we need to make sure that there is security in our kids' lives. And when they feel insecure, we need to challenge them to overcome it, coach, be there with them, and encourage them to create something that's going to help them overcome their insecurity. You know, it's very easy, and especially I think as parents, to dismiss your kids' emotions when you're still dismissing your own emotions and your own insecurities. And that's what we as humans do when we carry those insecurities for our kids. The kid goes, oh, I feel this way. And we go, shush, I used to feel that way too, but I shut it up. I shut it down. And then you never let go. And then you're generationally teaching your kids how to carry those insecurities. So yeah, whether you're a parent doing that to your kid, or whether you're a kid that's still holding on to insecurities because your parents are still reflecting theirs onto you. I think sometimes it's the problem with adults. They forget that they're just fucking big kids that are trying to bury down all their shit and trying to pretend to be grown and fit into this world. You know, based off where they're at in this system. You gotta remember, all of that shit is a business. Your name. When they give you your name so they can register you, it's a business. And then your name turns 18 and all of a sudden you're an adult now and your name can do all this because you tick that box. Be kind to yourself. We're just vulnerable creatures trying to fit into this this world and this system that has been developed for us is still a bunch of boxes on a bit of paper. Do you fit into this? Do you fit into that? You know, we are way more complicated and very complex creatures than a bit of paper with a bunch of details on it. You know, all this language and all these things. Like on my healing journey one night, I was lying there and then all of a sudden I could just hear a million different voices in my head going, Andrew Greeley, Andrew Greeley, Andrew Greeley. It was like every person that had ever said my name in full in an aggressive way to me. It was all embedded into my subconscious, and as I lay there I could hear it coming out. It's never happened since, but it was just this one night where, like, every time I hear my full name, Andrew Greeley, you know what I mean? It was like deep in one part of my brain. And as I mindfully just keep unlocking these chambers in my brain to try and let out all the suppressed shit, literally there was like a compartment with every aggressive, angry, yelled version of my name that I'd ever heard, and I just let it go. And yeah, it's crazy watching people reflect that onto each other. Be mindful of when you're saying someone's name. That's the word that was given to them as an identity. You know, Daryl is still Daryl, and that's the word that we use, just one word, to sum up his entire existence. That's crazy, eh? We use one word to sum up someone's entire existence. Yeah. I'm just trying to understand it all. Gonna keep moving forward. Acknowledge my emotions, feel them, let them go, and keep moving forward down the track and everything that I'm manifesting. That's what I'm gonna do. I hope you do too. I hope whatever insecurity is eating you up at the moment, try and separate yourself from the emotion, understand where it comes from, and take action towards overcoming it. You know, whether it's something that you can physically control or whether it's something you can't. That's the other thing. When we're feeling insecure about something we can't control, you can feel trapped, you know, fully trapped by the insecurity. And that's where you need to, I think that's when you need to go to the other side of the garden. If you feel trapped and you're like, I can't control this, you know, you can control how you emotionally react to it. But put yourself first. Go to the other side of the garden, water the garden there. You know, if you can't help water that spot and help that tree grow and help yourself overcome your insecurities, then go focus on another bit. You know, and that's it. When we're building a house and one bit's really hard, just go do some of the other bits, get back to it. Eventually the house will be complete, so long as you keep moving forward every single day. You will help build and you will help create your reality and your desires, you know. Much love, fam. Thank you for holding space. Hope you have a wonderful day. And I hope you go and take your shoes off and you connect. And you connect to yourself. Connect to the world around you. Separate yourself from this complex structure of human ideology and just be. You know, put your roots into the ground like a tree and just be. Find that inner peace. Much love, fam. Have a good day.